Hello dear fashion lover, how are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing how I make this beautiful short collar wrap gown with side pockets. Do well to watch this video to the end so as not to miss any important parts, and if you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe and like, it really helps. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Please like this video for me. God bless you. Enjoy. And here are the patterns I'm going to be making use of. So this is the pattern for the back. So let me remove this first. What I've done here is to just draft my normal basic pattern, right? So I will just pull you through. So I just measure, my half length is 16 inches. So from here to here, from the shoulder to my half length is 16 inches. So this is it here. So I added half an inch to join it to the down part, my back shaping to, so that I will not be having an excess at the back. So that's why it's a bit slant this way. So I added half an inch to the pattern for me to join it together. I just measure from here, my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. That is it here. 1 inch for that, then 1.5 inch seam allowance. Then these are the chest area too. This is my bust line, this is my chest line, and I connect my armhole the same way. Just go ahead and connect your armhole the way you connect it. Then I use 1 inch slope, then go up half an inch for my to draw my shoulder. Then I use 3 inches depth. Although it's a wrap dress, so I'm going to be still connecting this way, but I just make use of this place, so I use 3 inches depth. Then 3 inches width just for the back, the same way for the back, the width, the same thing. So this is it for this now. So the next thing to do now is to know how your wrap is going to come out in a way that the both end at the side, at your both sides. But I don't want my own to be in that way. I want my own to fall at the dart area. So by the time I wrap it, it will fall at the dart line. Hope you understand. So that's how I want it. So I'm going to be, yeah, my nipple to nipple is 4 inches, and 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. So this is the 4 inches I have here. So I'm just going to measure that 4 inches, or let's just say, let me let it pass the dart area small. So let me just make use of 5 inches. So this is the 5 inches that I measure. That is from my center front now. This is the 5 inches. So I'm going to connect these 5 inches now to my neck width, right? So this is it now. So the next thing to do, I'll bring back my back, and I will measure the neck width. So what I have here, I'll use it to extend the front upward, right? So I'll measure it from here. So just the neck width is what I'm measuring. So I'm removing my shoulder seam, right? So when I measure it this way, I make sure that it's curved. So if I measure it this way now, I will be having 3.25. So I'll be extending this place up by 3.25. So this is my 3.25. So what I will do now, I will place this now and extend this up in this manner. Then I will measure it that this line should be 3.25. So this is where my 3.25 stop. That's for my neck width here. So this place is the 3.25, which is the measurement I have for the back. Then I will be coming out so that the thing will relax well. I will be coming out like this, 25 inch. Then measure half of this. Measure half of this. Then connect this back to it this way. right? Now I want it to be, I want the collar to be 3 inches wide, right? By the time I fold it, so I will measure 3 inches. You can go ahead and mark your desired length for your collar. So I'll be marking 3 inches this way. I'll mark 3 inches all the way. 3 inches. So I'm going to rule this line straight up, right? So this is it now. So I'll also go up here by 75 an inch because I want it to relax very well. So I'll go up 75 an inch this way. Then I'll connect it to this line. Then connect this together with this. Hope this is visible. So this is all about it now. The pattern is ready, so I'm going to cut it out.
You're all I know, what I need, and that ain't changing. If I could lay down beside you, I would. When nothing really matters, that's all I wanna do.
And here is my
I hope that you are safe
back
and
pattern.
that I will
So
see
to cut
you
the facing,
lay down beside you.
what I will do is I will just mark half of this, which is 2.25. Then connect it randomly to make this. So I'll use this side for lining when I want to. So I'll use this now to cut two that's facing each other. Cut this part only for the facing, then cut this part as my lining. So here are my patterns. I've already cut them on my fabric and I've cut the lining alongside. This is for the back, and this back you can see I cut this side open because I added half an inch to sew this, right? So then this is for the front. The front own, go ahead and add your seam allowance, half an inch seam allowance at the side and at the top, and also in this place too. You know, we've already added seam allowance to the pattern here and this place too. My fabric was not enough, so but you can go ahead and add half an inch round like this. We've already add half an inch at the armhole area, and we've already add 1.5 inches for our side seam. So this is for the front, and I've also cut the facing and the lining for the front, right? So remember how I separated this line, so this is it. So I just cut this, add half an inch here, then this is the other side of it. So this is just for the lining, because I want, this is crepe, so I want the facing that will be showing outside the black, so I use crepe for it. I don't want the fabric to show, so I use crepe for it. So but if you want to still have the same material showing outside, that is by the time you turn the shawl collar, you can go ahead and cut this part on with your fabric. But because I don't want the fabric to show, so what I will do next now is that I'm going to go to my sewing machine and sew the darts, and also the dart for the back. Then I will also sew the dart because the dart is also here, so I will sew the dart for this side and sew the dart for my lining at the back side. Then I will place this front facing on this and sew the side with my half an inch seam allowance. So I will do that now and come back to show you, so we'll know the next step to follow. So I've gone ahead to sew my dart. So this is the dart at the back area. I've sewn it here, and I've also sewn it on the lining as well. So this is it. This is the fabric and the lining. I've sewn the dart both side. Then I've also joined it at the center. If you did not open this center part while you were cutting, you don't need to sew, you don't need to have this line here. But for me, as I said before, I have to eliminate the excessive here. So that's the reason why I have a line showing here. So I've joined it now with my seam allowance. Then I iron it open the same way with the lining. So this back one now is ready. Now the front one, this is the front, the Ankara part. I've sewn the that, right. Then what I did here is that I sewed the facing and the lining, just place them together like this and sew it here with my seam allowance of 1/2 inch. So this and this now became equal, right. Then I just place them right side face each other like this, then sew it at the side, right. So looking at it, you know what I've done here. So I just place them right side face each other. Then another thing I did not mention before, I iron my stay, very soft stay on it, just to give it a little firmness, right. So I do the same thing to the both side. So I'll go to my ironing table now. I'm going to iron this place. So what I did, when I place it right side face each other this way and sew it with 1/2 inch, then I top stitch on the material side, the Ankara side, because this facing is what's going to show outside. So I top stitch on the Ankara fabric side. So I'm going to go to my ironing table now. Then I will iron it. Go to my ironing table now. Iron this place to so that it can relax properly. Then I will measure my 1/2 inch that I will use to join this shoulder, right, to this upper part. Then I will now fold it into two to this 1/2 inch. So this 1/2 inch now will not be here. So I will fold it into two like this. I will leave this 1/2 inch. I will measure it out because I need this 1/2 inch to join this place. Then I will fold the remaining one into two this way, right. Then I'm going to iron it flat. So I will do that on both sides. I finish ironing, then I will turn the two of them together. Then I will sew them at the shoulder. That's this place. Look at what I'm saying here. This is how. So by the time I finish ironing it, it will look like this. So I will still flip it like this. Then I will have the mark here. When I finish ironing this way, I will share it into two like this, and then I will iron it. Then I will have the mark showing here. So then I will place these two together, right side face each other, fabric to fabric, lining to lining, right. Then I will sew this shoulder with 1/2 inch. My 1/2 inch that I added, that's what I will use to sew it, right. For you to place safe, what you will do is you measure from here to here, use it to measure your neck. But if you are following this video from the beginning, you will understand, you will not have any issue. Just sew your seam allowance that you have here, sew it close. So I'm going to do that, then iron it, then I'm going to do that and come back to show you. So this is it. This is what it looked. I've already joined it, just as I said earlier. I just fold them, right side face each other this way, right, and sew it at the shoulder. That is the built up shoulder. I just sew it with 1/2 inch with my seam allowance. Then I iron it. I iron it flat this way. Then I still fold it into two like this and iron it. Then I now follow up with my what I have here for the folding. Use it to fold this place too, right, and iron it. So this what I have here is what I will use to join with the shoulder later on. So this is how it looks now. So what I will do now is to join the back with the front, right. So I will place it this way. I will place it the center back with this line here. So I'll place them right side face each other, right? Then I will make sure that it matches with the neck here, then to the shoulder, right? So I'm going to do that now. Sew it all round like this. So I'll place it like this now. Then sew this place too with the shoulder this way. Hope you understand it. Then when I finish sewing it, now turn it to the other side. When you turn it to the other side, it will be the lining part and the this other side that has the facing, and this is the right side. So I also place the lining of the back side too on it like this. Then the center with this mark too, I'll place it with it like this too, and then I'll also make sure that it rhyme here like this, then with the shoulder like this. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine now and sew them with half an inch, then sew the side, right? So I want to cut the down part, and to cut the down part I'll be using 180-degree. So I'll be folding by scarf. I will fold it in a scarf way or bias, whichever way you know it. So I'm just going to fold it triangularly this way. So this is, some people know this as scarf or bias. So I'm going to be folding my bias this way, and I will make sure that it's equal here and see how. So I'm going to pin it this way and arrange it this way, right? So this is where I'm going to get my radius. I'll get my radius here and then measure the length this way. So I'm going to pin it in a proper way now. So here is it. I've already pinned it. So I'm going to get my radius. I'm cutting the front first. So I have my waist, because with the wrap together I have it as 14 inches. That's with the wrap and my seam allowance and everything. I have it as 14 inches. So I'm going to get a 14 inches radius from here. So that means I will be using, I want to make sure that it's equal from here this way so that I can have a round shape. So what I will do is that I'm going to be making, I think that should be falling on 70.1. So I'll be making use of 70.1. I'll mark it this way. 70.1, 70.5, sorry, 17.5. I will make it bold. I'm going to measure it if I'm having 14 inches, which I have here. So this is 14 inches, so this is okay. So this is my radius now. So the next thing to do is to get the length. Now my half length, I've removed the upper part, which is 16 inches. So the full length, I want it to be 41. That's plus the hem seam allowance. So 16 inches minus 41, that will be giving me 25 inches. So I'm going to measure from here to where this is, this down part here, 25 inches. So I will do that now. Then I'm still going to place it this way. I'll place my tape rule this way and just measure 25 inches. I'll be marking it round like this. So here is it. I've already marked it. So I just make this, measure it from the radius and make it round like this, 25 inches. So I'm going to be adding half an inch at this upper part. I've added all my seam allowance. I've added all the seam allowance to my calculation here. I've added all my seam allowance to my calculation here. So this is for the front now. So I'm going to cut this out.
When nothing really matters,
So this is for the front now. So I'm going to slash here open for the front because the front is wrapped. So I'm going to slash here open now. So if I'm measuring this now, I'll be having 14 inches, right? Because of the half an inch I joined, so my measurement has been tempered with. So if I measure this now, I'll be having 14 inches. So I will slash this place open. That's for the front, and I'm going to cut this on my lining too. So I'm going to be cutting the back now. So I will fold scarf cut again to cut the back. So now I've also fold triangularly too for my back, the down part of my back. So this is it now. So I'm going to be marking my radius too. So I'll be using 9 inches waist circumference for the back, right? We've already cut the front. So for the back now, 9 inches. So that should be let me put it at 11 and a half here, because I want it to be equal on both sides. So that's why I'm marking it this way first, 11 and a half this way. Then I will now mark the radius now, which make sure that this line that I mark has my radius, which is 9 and a half, and this is it. So I make this bold now. So this is the 9 and a half. The same way that I did for the front, I'll also do it for the back. So I'll go up by half an inch to join it to the upper part, right? So half an inch, half an inch, half an inch. Then I'm going to measure now. From here I'll measure my length of 25 inches, right? So yeah, I've already marked it. So I'm going to cut this out too now.
There's not much to do when all I can.
So this back,
Is thinking about
I will not be cutting this place open because the back,
well.
it does not have I'm not putting slit or anything for the back because it's a wrap dress. So the open is going to be at the front. So the back is also going to be this way. But the front we cut earlier, I'm going to slash this place open. So I'll cut this two now on my lining, right? So this is my flare. I've ironed it. So remember I said I will cut my lining the same way, so which I did. So I've already cut it the same way. Then this is for the back. Now I mentioned that the back will not have opening, right? So I did not open the back side. So the back is full flare this way. What I mean is there is no opening at the center back, right? So this is for the both side now. So I've turned it with my lining. This is my lining. So I just cut the same way, use my seam allowance to sew the side here, right? And also the side, then at the down part too, then turn it out and iron it properly. So this for the back. Then for the front, this is the front. So the front, I said I will be slashing, I will open the center because it's a wrap gown that we are making, right? So this is the center that I've opened, and this is the side, right? So this become two now. This has become two piece, right? Because of the center front that was slash open. And I've also turned it with my lining, right, on both sides with my seam allowance. Then another thing you can use as guide is to make sure that you need to make sure that the one you are having here is for the front should rhyme with the peplum you are cutting, right? So this is for the front and this is rhyming with it. You can see that. So for my upper part, I've gone ahead to sew the shoulders. You can see how neat it is, both inside and outside. Then I've also joined the side, just the lining area, right? So this is it now. I've joined both inside, well finished, and the outside too, and I've ironed it. So I'm going to cut my pocket because I want pocket to be at the side. So what I will do is I'll keep this aside now. I'm going to use this to cut my pocket. So I'm going to be cutting it this way, right? So the opening will be at this end, while this side will be at the end. Just watch me. So I will make a straight line here. From this line, I'm going to measure 7 inches, which is here. I will measure 9 inches from here like this. I'll measure what I have here, which is 75 an inch. I'll also mark it here too. So connect this now. Connect this way. This is my pocket now from one side. So I'm going to cut it out. Cut another one of this. The pocket, I've cut it in two places now. So I'll remove this pin. Then I'll keep it aside. Now I will bring out my back of the down part. Then I'll place the front, right side face each other this way. Now this is the side of the front. This is the center. So the center should be somewhere here. Then this two. This is the center of this. So now I'm going to align this side. So for my pocket, so I'll use one side to demonstrate it. Right? This is the right side. So to sew my pocket, I'm going to put it this way. So it's going to be like this. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine now. Place this from this 3.75 that we measure to this 7 inches, right? And I'm going to sew it with 1/4 of an inch. Then I will do the same thing to this other side too, 1/4 of an inch. Note that the inside will be neat by the time I finish sewing it. So I'll sew it outside. So I'll sew it 1/4 of an inch, turn it this way, sew it with 1/4 of an inch. So the pocket will now come out like this. So the pocket will now come out like, by the time I finish sewing it, it will be like this, right? So I'll go to my sewing machine and sew it this way. So I'll sew this one, flip it like this, sew this side too, then flip it back, right? So by the time I want to join it to the upper part, when I'm sewing my seam allowance, I will sew it. When I get to this place, I will sew with 1/2 an inch, then I'll stop here. Then I'll come here, I'll start from here, sew with 1/2 an inch, right? I'll come here, sew with 1/2 an inch, and I'll sew it. When I get here, I will top stitch. Then I will continue with my seam allowance of 1 inch, then sew it to the end. I'll do the same thing to the other side as well. Then the upper part, I'm going to also join this now. I'll just place them right side face each other. So by the time I finish sewing the pocket, I will bring it out like this. So I'll just place them right side face each other this way. Then sew with my 1/2 an inch. Do the same thing to the back side. Then we'll come back to show you. So here is the final look, guys. I have sewn the pocket as I've said earlier. Sewn it with my seam allowance at the side here, and I've also sewed the side of the dress with my 1 inch seam allowance, just as I've mentioned before. So this is it. Just go ahead and follow through as I've explained before now, right? So this is it. I've sewn both sides. Then I've also joined my, can see here, I've joined my belt or my rope, whichever way, so that I can able to tie it. So it's going this way now. So I just cut 2 smaller pieces, right, and 2 wide pieces. The same, just go ahead the normal way of sewing your your rope or your belt, right? So that's what I've done here. So the two smaller pieces, I just sew them. So it's going to go this way and this way. So the one that is going this way, that means I have to tie this one first, and this one will be inside, it won't show out. So that's the reason why I use the smaller belt on it. So you can see the way I sew it, right? I just place it on top and top stitch on it here, top stitch on it at my dart, since this other side is going to come to the dart here. So when I want to tie it, I'll just hold it this way and tie here, right? So this is it. I'll just tie it here like this. Then this one is not coming this way to this other dart too, right? So you can see the way I place it. I just place it on top, and I make sure that the thing I did not sew it to the back side, just the front side. So I just stop stitch on it like this. So this is it. Then I will use this one now too to lap this one, since it's a wrap dress, right? So this, since I have tied this here, so this is coming this way, and it will tie this too. So just go ahead and tie your your bow tie, or whichever way you know best to, right? So this is all about it, guys. And you can see the way I've joined the upper part with the down part. You can see how neat it's sewing it is. The sewing is very neat, guys. So, and I've also attached my basic sleeve. So my fabric was not much, so I just used the crepe that I use for my shawl collar. That's what I use for the basic sleeve. It's a very short sleeve. Then I added a touch of the fabric on this edge, right, just to give it some fitness. So this is how it came out. So I'm going to show you the final look now on when I put it on, right? So if you have watched to this end, please do well to subscribe, like, and share with friends. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Bye.